I did not realize how much my life was about to change until my neighbor asked a simple question in the hallway. It was not dramatic, it was not emotional, but the moment she looked at me after I answered, I felt something shift in a way I could not explain yet. At that time, I thought my story was about a breakup. I did not know it was really about what came after. My name is Mason. I am 28 years old, and I live in the United States in a quiet apartment building that looks exactly like every other building on the block. Same beige walls, same narrow hallways, same elevator that smells faintly like laundry soap, no matter what time of day it is. It is the kind of place where people pass each other without really seeing one another. That was my life for a long time. Quiet, routine, predictable. I work as a freelancer from home. My days are spent on my laptop, moving between client calls, emails, deadlines, and long hours of silence broken only by the hum of my refrigerator. Some days it feels like freedom. Other days it feels like floating with nothing to hold on to. For a while, I thought I had something solid. I thought I had a future that was already decided. I had been in a serious relationship, the kind that looks good from the outside. We had routines, grocery shopping on weekends, cooking the same meals because they were easy and familiar. Little arguments that ended in apologies. Plans that started with next month and slowly turned into next year. I believed we were building towards something permanent. Then her parents became part of the picture in a way that changed everything. It was not concern, it was judgment. They did not like that I worked for myself. They smiled politely when I explained what I did, but I could hear the unspoken question in their tone. When are you getting a real job? They did not like that my schedule did not fit into a normal 9 to 5. They did not like that I came from a different background than they did. Every dinner felt like an interview. Every conversation felt like a test. At first, I told myself it did not matter. I was not dating her parents. I was dating her. But slowly, I realized she was not ready to stand between me and their pressure. She wanted to keep everyone happy, and that meant I was always the one bending. It did not end with a big fight. There was no shouting or slammed doors. It ended quietly, through the same argument repeated again and again. Me asking her to be on my side. Her saying she was, but never sounding sure. One night, sitting on her couch, staring at a muted television, I realized I was fighting for a place in her life that should have already been mine. When we finally ended things, it felt like something shut off inside the room. She cried. I stayed quiet. There was nothing left to explain. After that, my days felt empty, in a way that was hard to describe. I still woke up. I still worked. I still ate. But everything felt muted, like the volume on my life had been turned down. I started noticing small things again. The flickering hallway light outside my door. The cold air that rushed in when the lobby doors opened. The sound of a dog's nails on the tile late at night. And that was when I started noticing my neighbor again. Her name is Olivia. She is 22. I had known of her for years in the way you know people in an apartment building. We were not friends, but we were not strangers either. Just nods. Short greetings. Occasional small talk while waiting for the elevator. She lived a few doors down. She was quiet. Calm. Always seemed busy. There had never been anything between us. Then, a couple of weeks after my breakup, something changed. I was coming back from getting coffee, my hands full, trying not to spill anything, when I saw Olivia standing near the mailboxes. She looked up and smiled the same way she always did. Hey, she said. Hey, I replied, already turning toward my door. Then she asked, casually, like it was nothing more than small talk. How's your girlfriend doing? Haven't seen her in a while. I answered without thinking. We're not together anymore. Olivia paused. Not dramatically, just long enough for me to notice. She looked at me differently, like she was seeing me for the first time. I'm sorry, she said softly. It's fine, I replied. It is what it is. She nodded slowly. Then she smiled, small and controlled. Well, if you ever need anything, you know where I am. I thanked her and went inside, but after I closed the door, I stood there for a moment, my coffee untouched. I could not shake the feeling that something had changed in the hallway outside my apartment. Over the next few days, I started running into Olivia more often. Not in a strange way. just in the natural way schedules overlap when you start paying attention. One morning, I took the trash out and nearly ran into her as she came in with groceries. "Hey, Mason," she said. It surprised me. She knew my name. She asked about my work. Actually listened. Did not judge. Did not smile politely. She seemed genuinely interested. When she laughed at my joke, it felt easy, real. Then one evening, standing by the mailboxes again, she mentioned a small coffee place nearby. Quiet. Not crowded. She asked if I wanted to go sometime. I hesitated. It was just coffee, but I knew what it meant. "Tomorrow?" she asked. "Around 5?" Quote. I should have said no. Instead, I nodded. "Yeah," I said. "I think I can do that." As I went back upstairs, my chest felt tight, not with excitement. With confusion. I did not know it yet, but that moment was the beginning of something I was not prepared for. Something that would change the rest of my life. The next day moved slower than it should have. I tried to focus on work, but my mind kept drifting to 5 o'clock. I told myself it was nothing. Just coffee. Just a neighbor being friendly. Still, when I shut my laptop and checked the time, my heart beat a little faster than usual. At 4:58, I was standing in the lobby pretending to scroll on my phone. I did not like that about myself. I did not like feeling nervous over something so small. Then the doors opened, and Olivia walked in like she had done this 100 times before. "You're actually here," she said, smiling. "I said I would be," I replied. "I know," she said. "People just cancel a lot." There was something honest in that, like she had learned not to expect too much from people. It stayed with me as we walked out together. The coffee place was exactly as she described. Quiet, warm, no loud music, no rush. We ordered and sat by the window. At first, the conversation stayed light. Where she grew up, how long she had lived in the building, what she was studying. Nothing heavy, nothing forced. Then she asked, "Are you okay, though?" Not casually, not politely. She meant it. I looked down at my coffee. I could have lied. I almost did. Instead, I said, "I'm functioning, but everything feels quieter than it used to." She nodded like she understood. That's how it feels when something ends before you're ready. I did not ask how she knew. I did not need to. When we walked back, neither of us rushed. At the building entrance, she stopped and looked at me with that same steady expression. "I had a good time," she said. "So did I replied. "I'd like to do it again." There was no hesitation in her voice. I surprised myself by saying yes without thinking. That night, I barely slept. Not because I was excited, but because my mind would not slow down. I kept telling myself to be careful. She was younger. I had just come out of something painful. The last thing I wanted was a distraction. But Olivia did not feel like a distraction. Over the next few weeks, we spent more time together. Walks in the evening, simple dinners, long talks that did not need alcohol or noise. She never pushed, never rushed. She was exactly the same every day. Calm, present, honest. One night, sitting on her couch, she looked at me seriously. "If this is just helping you get over someone else, I need to know." I respected her for that. I thought about it before answering. "I was scared it might be at first," I said, "but it's not." She studied my face, then nodded. "Okay." Something shifted after that. I stopped holding back. I stopped questioning every feeling. It felt steady, safe, real. Months passed quietly. One night, lying in bed talking in the dark, I realized I felt at peace. Not excited, not overwhelmed, just sure. "I love you," I said without planning to. She turned toward me. "I love you too." Quote. Life felt good for the first time in a long while. A year and a half passed without us noticing. Olivia slowly moved into my place. Not officially, just her clothes appearing in the closet, her mug becoming my favorite. It felt natural. I started thinking about proposing. Something simple, something quiet, something that felt like us. Then she started getting tired, losing weight, saying she felt off but brushing it aside. When she finally agreed to see a doctor, I did not expect what came next. The word cancer landed slowly. Confusion first, then fear. Olivia stayed calm, asked questions. I sat there holding her hand, trying not to fall apart. That night, She finally cried. I held her and said nothing. A few days later, I proposed. Not because things were easy, because they were real. She said yes. We promised we would have the wedding after she got better. We believed it, with everything we had. I did not know yet how hard the road ahead would be. But I knew one thing clearly. I was not going anywhere. The treatments started quietly, without ceremony. No dramatic first day, just early mornings, long waits in rooms that all looked the same. White walls, soft voices, machines humming like they were alive. Olivia tried to keep things normal. She joked with the nurses. She apologized when she was tired, even though she had no reason to. She kept saying, "When this is over," like saying it out loud could lock the future in place. I let her say it. I needed to hear it too. I learned how to read her face. I knew when a day was going to be hard before she said a word. I rearranged my work so I could be with her during appointments. I worked late at night while she slept. Love stopped feeling like a feeling and started feeling like showing up again and again, even when there was nothing to fix. Months passed that way. Not slowly, not quickly, just heavy. At some point, the doctor's language changed. They became careful, gentle. They stopped talking about beating it and started talking about comfort. I did not want to hear it. Olivia did. She understood before I did. One night, she asked me to sit with her on the bed. The room was quiet. The city outside sounded far away. "You don't have to be strong all the time," she said. I tried to smile. She shook her head. "It's okay to be scared," she added. I held her hand. It felt smaller than it used to, lighter. She passed away early one morning. Quietly, no final speech, no warning, just stillness. I sat there long after, holding her hand, waiting for something to change back. It did not. The days after blurred together. Phone calls, paperwork, people saying they were sorry, in voices that sounded distant. I stayed close to her family. Not out of obligation, out of shared loss. When the bills came, I paid them without thinking. The money I had saved for our wedding became part of saying goodbye. It felt like keeping a promise. After the funeral, the apartment felt unbearable. Her mug was still in the cupboard, her jacket still by the door. The space she had slowly filled was suddenly empty in a way that hurt to breathe through. People told me I was young, that I would find someone else. I did not argue. They did not understand. Loving Olivia was not a mistake, even knowing how it ended. She showed me what steady love looks like, what choosing someone fully means. That does not disappear. I am still here, still working, still breathing, and I carry her with me. Not as pain anymore, as proof that something real existed. After everything settled, after the people stopped checking in every day, life became very quiet. Not the peaceful kind of quiet, the kind that echoes. Mornings were the hardest. I would wake up and reach for my phone, forgetting for half a second that there was no good morning text coming. I would stand in the kitchen holding her mug before realizing I had picked it up without thinking. I did not rush to change anything. I did not pack her things away right away. I let the apartment stay the way it was, because it felt wrong to erase her too quickly. Grief did not come in waves like people say. It came in moments. Random, sharp, unexpected. A song in a grocery store. A laugh that sounded like hers. The smell of her shampoo in the hallway. I stayed in that apartment longer than most people thought I should. Friends suggested moving. A fresh start. A new place. I understood why they said it, but they did not understand what I needed. Leaving felt like leaving her behind, even though I knew she was not tied to walls or rooms. I stayed because those quiet spaces still felt honest. Work became routine again. Not exciting, just steady. And that was okay. I walked the same streets we used to walk. At first, it hurt too much. Later, it felt grounding. Like I was honoring something, instead of running from it. People stopped asking when I would date again. Maybe they could see in my face that it was not a question with an answer yet. I did not feel empty. I felt full in a strange way. Full of memories. full of something that had shaped me deeply. I learned that love does not disappear when someone does. It changes shape. It becomes quieter, softer, but it stays. Sometimes, late at night, I would sit by the window and think about that first moment in the hallway, the question Olivia asked, the way she looked at me after I answered. I did not know then that she would become the most important love of my life. I did not know that saying yes to coffee would lead me to both the greatest joy and the deepest loss I would ever know. If I could go back, knowing how it would end, I would still choose her. Every time. Because some loves are not meant to last forever. They are meant to change you forever. This is not a story about moving on. It is a story about carrying someone with you and learning how to live honestly afterward. I am still here. I am still breathing. And in the quiet moments, I still feel her with me. That is how this story ends.